that time. And therefore, with time, demand will pick up.
Yes.
When demand picks up, in response to government-owned economic reform, we are talking about business inputs that are largely imported, denominated in foreign currency. There will be pressure. And we only have a limited amount of FX and all of that. So to a large extent, yes, we are not saying Bank of Ghana should not intervene in the market. Is that okay? Yeah. If the volatility is just too wide and all, but the excessive intervention may create an exchange rate that will not crowd in FX, but it would rather crowd out the FX from the former system.
Yeah, crowd out.
This was it. So I believe that we are at the point where we have an exchange rate that perhaps the market does not think that is a true reflection of what it should, and therefore the crowding in is not happening the way it should. How people will respond to some of these things, you may not have control. We had feared that this may impact remittances. And then you can see the data that remittances have dropped by almost 50%. It's not just that the FX that has gone down. What it means is that projects probably are going to be put on hold and all of that. And remittances support the critical sector of this economy. I mean, the real sector, whether some are into farming, all kinds of things and all of that. So really, Bank of Ghana, I think they should take another look at this. At this directive. This directive. If my memory serves me right, 2013, 2014, we had a similar challenge. There was even a decision where...
A cap on how much you can get from.
And even your foreign FX will be converted and all of that. Look, we've gone through a lot of this and all of that. And I think that ultimately it didn't serve us well. This country, we are too fixated on exchange rates. Too much. Our economy is too much dependent on exchange rate rather than the fundamentals of the economy, rather than the real sector of the economy. And I think that is problematic. Look, exchange rate is not to be pursued as an end in itself. It's a means to an end.
A means to an end.
Okay, so it's all about what economy do we want? And how do we position the exchange rate to a large extent? And that is why no country is really practicing free market system in this area. Okay, so central banks intervene and all of that, okay, and manage it to some extent. So I think the problem has to do with what we are going through has more to do with the aggressive strengthening of the currency. I hope you understand that. And the fact that it's not driven, and we have said this before, that the fundamentals of the economy hasn't transformed. We haven't seen structural transformation or productivity transformation. In as much as I commend Bank of Ghana and also Ministry of Finance in terms of how they have coordinated this from the fiscal discipline and the prudent, I mean, I commend them for that. But I think that, yes, at some point, you want to ask yourself whether this is serving the economy the way we want it and all of that. And what should we do in terms of the exchange rate to crowd in FX? If we are not careful.
But Prof, when you listen to the BOG governor, when he met CEOs of banks in Accra, so he makes the point that we will no longer allow hidden practices in the remittance and FX space that distort market signals, erode trust, and undermine the cedi. The stability we fought to restore will not be sacrificed on the altar of non-compliance. So you get the feeling that this statement is bigger, is part of a bigger plan to deal with the volatilities in the sector.
Precisely. I don't have a problem. I remember that the more Bank of Ghana wants to have greater control in all of this, the signal it sends to the market
is that it artificial?
May not. Look, remember, you are not managing the economy for yourself alone. There are multiple stakeholders and all of that, and they are all looking at the interpretation and how they will react and all of that. Right now, if you look at the divergence between the interbank rate at the retail level, the Forex Bureau, and then maybe the black market, you can see some divergence. If people have the impression that the true exchange rate is not the one it's going to be difficult for them to trade their FX and all of that. So I think we should look at the exchange rate at some point.
But Prof, what is wrong with the directive to the banks? What is wrong with it? That they should not pay out huge FX to corporates who have not gotten prior deposits.
Yeah, so where would they go and get the deposit from? Are they doing legitimate business? Do they have documentation to back the demand for the FX and all of that? Remember, Bank of Ghana and the role of reserves is to also backstop transactions. Yes. Is that okay? So, so that the obligation is not totally on, let's say, the importer or the business to say that I must have the FX at all costs before I can do this import and all of that. And that is why we use our reserves in measuring how competitive we are, credit-worthy in terms of trade. So we have a number of months of import cover. We use that because all of that gives confidence to people we trade with outside in shipping goods to us even before the payment is made. And when for instance, this phone is not manufactured in Ghana. If I buy this phone from a shop in Ghana and I pay for it in cedis, actually payment has not taken place because the manufacturer of this phone doesn't take cedis. Until the dollar equivalent of that cedis I paid is transferred out of this country. That's when payment has taken place. And here Bank of Ghana plays a strong role in all of that. So I think the more we do this, my fear is that things that must be solved by the forces of demand and supply, don't use regulation forcefully.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, if you use regulations forcefully to solve that which must be resolved by the forces of demand and supply and all of that, which again would impact the exchange rate, then in the medium to the long term, you are creating a bigger problem for the economy and all of that.
And I was looking at again the conversation between the BOG governor and the bank CEOs.